TV presenter and former Strictly champion Ore Oduba is in the news today after speaking out about a secret that he has kept for 30 years.
That's when my addiction started, Paul. When I was introduced for the first time to pornography.
At 9?
Yeah. And I think after everything that's happened, only understanding how much of a thread that had been throughout my life was I was finally able to escape it.
Well, in an interview with the Mail, Ore said the reason that he's decided to go public with this is because he feels a responsibility to increase awareness of an issue that affects so many young people growing up in a digital world. And we've got around 20% of 14 to 18-year-olds in the UK saying that they watch porn frequently. Kelly, your kids are around about that age, sort of young teens. Do you have the conversation? Have you had the conversation?
Yeah, and I think, and it's an ongoing conversation. I think all the way through their lives where it was age appropriate. For example, when they first introduced sex education into the school, I asked to see the pamphlets that were going to be given to my children so that I could read them, make sure that I agreed with them. I was happy with what was being discussed with my child. And then I had my own conversation. I just think if we don't, as parents, if we don't take control of the narrative, social media will do it for you. So if we don't parent, there's another parent that's in the palm of their hand if you allow 24 hours a day. So for me, I want to get in on that conversation and I want to provide another argument to what's being spoken to them in the palm of their hand. And also, sorry to interrupt, but also I do try to have an influence over what's in the palm of their hand also. So
Sure.
I've got an app that's on their phone which actually monitors and gives access or doesn't grant access to specific websites. And it gives me, at the end of the day, gives me a download of what they've been on, what they've watched, what they haven't
Really?
watched.
Wow.
Absolutely. And then we have a conversation. So I say, look, you know, Kaoi or Regan, you know, look, I noticed that you weren't on Kids, for example, YouTube, for a moment, and they'll go, oh, it was an advert that was brought to whatever. And then we'll have a chat about that. And I think the fact that you are open and have those conversations is critical. Parents, I urge you, like, you know, I know it can be uncomfortable and sometimes embarrassing, but if you don't have that conversation, somebody else will.
But when you say have that conversation, what conversations do you have? Because, I mean, pornography isn't necessarily bad. I mean, lots of people use pornography, obviously not for under 18s. I mean, I've got to be careful what I say here. It's natural to have curiosity about sex as you were growing up. I mean, in my day, it was innocent. We all passed around a magazine and we had, like, sort of tiny wee scraps of it. And, oh, my goodness, much more innocent than what we are seeing now. Some of the stuff is really, really concerning.
But I think with
but where's the balance?
What Kelly's just touched on there is so true, but, you know, even as much, as good a will as you have to monitor what they're looking at on their phones, it just takes somebody else in the playground with an older brother who's got access to whatever else to show it to your child. If you think by the age of 10, a third of children have already seen porn.
No, but do you say to, because what I'm asking, do you say to them, pornography is bad?
No,
you don't.
But
what is the conversation?
The conversation is explaining what it is, explaining what people see, having open conversations about sex and what a healthy sexual relationship might look like. You've got to remember, this age group, you know, they don't have their frontal lobe. Their brains are being rewired daily and rewarded by these phones. You know, my daughter's in the audience there. She's 18 years old now. I've been having, I'd like to believe, age-appropriate, open conversations with them since they were really, really young.
And she's really glad that she came to this woman on this particular day. She's thinking, great mom. So what is it? I mean, what is the conversation? Because, I mean, I'm interested that we say we have the conversation. What
Good
is
touch,
the conversation?
bad touch, what bodies look like. They don't have to be completely hairless. They can look in so many different shapes and sizes that when you say yes, when you say no, what no means. We talk about consent all the time. The way that things are presented, the real world just does not look like that. Also...
See, it's interesting you two have the sit-down chat. I'm not a fan of the sit-down chat.
But it doesn't...
Sit down, stand up over the kitchen.
No, I need to interject. It doesn't need to be sit down, we're now going to... No. Driving in the car, a song comes on and it's inappropriate language. And I go, oh, do you know what that means? And then you educate through that inroad. So, you know, sometimes it's not appropriate to go, sit down, we're now going to have a chat about the birds and the bees, for example. But you find your inroads, and when you've got those opportunities, you just go straight in and you go, so have you thought about that? And what does that mean to you? How does that feel? And those are the moments where you capitalise on those inroads that children give you, because they are listening. You're not forcing a conversation. They're listening and they're engaged in the conversation, and they feel like they're adding in too, and that's important.
Ote, what do you think? I mean, personally, I don't know if that is not a little bit heavy-handed for me personally. Everyone does it their own way. What do you think, Ote?
I definitely think you have to have a conversation, but I'm thinking in terms of me being someone's daughter. I think my parents, if I mentioned pornography, would have smacked me on the head with a Bible multiple times every night.
But we had the same parents.
Yeah, so I don't think my parents had that conversation with me. I think it felt uncomfortable. I don't know what they would say, what age they would say it to me. I don't even know if I have that relationship to just be so open with my parents about that. And especially being African, they expect you to not have intercourse until you're 25. So it's like those expectations. So with my daughter, I think I would have just conversations anyway about everything.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't know where to start or how to do it because it was never passed down onto me. It's not something that we do.
Yeah.
My parents wouldn't have had that education as well. So I would have to really research and think about, when do we start? Are we maybe pushing it on to her? It's very scary, and I think for parents as well, to have that conversation with their kids. It's
But the only thing
scary.
that's scarier is not having the conversation.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable for you for a few minutes, but your child's going out there, at least they're armed with the right information. You know, then you can take it on to sexual health and STIs and really just continue with that conversation, and they'll know that you're a safe place to land. I think that's what's essential. Take your embarrassment somewhere else.
We will have to go on, but my mum and dad, for all their age, never had that conversation, but they were so open and so relaxed about everything that I felt perfectly comfortable. So for me, it's more about creating that atmosphere. Anyway, listen, we've got to go on. You're right, you're absolutely right.